Welcome to Timeball Games. I'm ELD, here to ask you for help in growing the channel. When we reach 2,500 subscribers, I'm going to be giving away a custom leather playmat to one lucky subscriber. So be sure to like and subscribe. Welcome to ELD's Timeball Games. This is Fast Effect Double Speed Magic the Gathering. And we've got Pyle Souza playing Grixis versus Anthony on Dredge, a game that can be very difficult for control decks to deal with. Cracking LED in response to Careful Study. This could be terrible if he's got a Force of Will or, I guess just a Force of Will. Spell Pierce not going to achieve very much here. Brainstorm looking for that Force. Force of Will, Force of Negation potentially. Good enough to main deck. And it is happening. Careful Study, resolving. Still has 3 presumably red mana floating. And no Faithless Looting, so it ends there. Second land for Pyle. Icarid's coming back. And with Bridge from Below's, this represents a very quick clock. 6 damage this turn. And this is likely to be game over next turn if Pyle doesn't have... Boy, I can't really think of too much. Oh, he's got a Hagak. He's actually not swinging. Instead, convoking Hagak out. And just going to scoop right there. So a little bit of an investment, saving the 6 damage to get 8 damage the next turn. And that would have been a lethal, along with those bridges that would be generated during the end step as Icarid is sacrificed. So Dredge, I think this is actually the store's build of Dredge with Hagak. Yeah, I think it is. A very, very powerful addition to the Dredge strategy. Some people have embraced it. Others played it and ultimately decided not to go with Hagak. It's definitely not in good in Dredge as it is in the Hagak decks. And that is something that I think players sometimes have a hard time with, is when a card kind of doesn't perform as well, like when you're not the best Hagak deck. Similarly, cards like Force of Will and Daze I've noticed in different people's lists. Like Cephalid Breakfast is a deck that I'm pretty excited about right now, and I've seen other people playing it without as many Force of Wills and Dazes, and yeah, they're not as good in that deck as they are in a Delver of Secrets deck. They are there to push through your combo, not to stop your opponent from really getting anything done. So they have different roles, and they're not as good in that deck, but I think still absolutely worth playing. And I think that's probably where I come down with Hagak in Dredge as well. It's not as good as it is in the dedicated Hagak decks, but it does give you a different way of interacting and potentially having a way around graveyard hate. If your opponent's sitting on a Tormod's Crypt and you can just get any type of bodies on board, you can potentially be getting out a Hagak from your hand, which is a devastating follow-up to cards that otherwise might just end the game. Just to be able to have that line around it, just casting him. I've seen, there are videos on the channel of me casting Hagak right into a Containment Priest. My opponent thinking that they had basically all but wrapped the game up, and instead now they've got to face an 8/8. It's a pretty devastating turn. Just big creatures the way Richard Garfield intended. And Pyle sideboarding, mulliganing. Anthony with that first win. And looking like it's going to be an easy 2. I don't know what this is going to look like. Seems like Pyle mulliganing to a Leyline at this stage. Control decks typically can make do with a reasonable mix of cards. thanks to the cantrip. So Brainstorm, Ponder, they can pretty well smooth out most draws as long as there's enough mana to cast them. You kind of work your way back into the game, but when a control deck mulligans this hard versus Dredge, you usually expect it to be mulling to Leyline, and actually that's not the case. Wow. I am actually very surprised there. Not wanting to mull to Oblivion on camera. He's got a Force of Will to stop the Careful Study. And it looks like a couple of Grave Trolls and a Stinkweed Imp. Icarid's not getting returned here. Looks like he was going to attempt to go to the draw step. And maybe he's got a Surgical. Draw step. Narcomoeba coming in. And Cabal Therapy being used. And he's going to Surgical in response. It's going to hit the Icarids. But this is a very bad situation. Even without the Icarids. Eventual Bridge from Belows and Narcomoebas will be enough to win the game. Even if Anthony makes the questionable choice of just drawing a card, if he hits a blue mana, that's going to pull him way ahead, as Cephalid Coliseum would draw 3, discard 3. Silent Gravestone looks like it may have been brought in. Potential answer to Surgical, though typically only brought in against decks that want to use their own graveyard as well. Perhaps Snapcaster Mage a big enough part of Pyle's plan to make it worth the spot. Now we finally see things coming together here. We've got a Narcomoeba sacrificed, Bridge from Below in the graveyard making a body, Brainstorm in response. Anthony going to be able to name. And with a Kolgan's Command left in hand, and actually sacrificing to hit the Kolgan's Command. Drawing cards now is Anthony. Still has some Dredge options. A Lion's Eye Diamond. I mean, that'll do some damage. Kraken for blue. So we'll have 2 blue mana floating. As long as he doesn't deck himself here, he's going to be fine. There's a Narcomoeba. Some more bridges. So double Narcomoeba. Ooh. Snapcaster hitting those Narcomoebas, and now this is a very grim situation. No Narcomoebas, no Icarids, and not a lot of cards left. I think Pyle just stole that one. Bunch of bridges going to the graveyard, but it's not going to matter. And that's going to do it. So Grixis picking up game number 2. Just like that. Surgical Extraction doing double duty. And, you know, that Silent Gravestone actually looks a lot more attractive now. Though not a lot you can do there. That is pretty spectacular. the power level of surgical extraction there, stopping Anthony from getting the ball going. And also no prized amalgams in this build. So yeah, surgical doing some heavy lifting. Let's see how this goes game number 3 with Anthony on the play. All right, Anthony mulliganing. Pre-game ley line. Let's see what he has for answers and if he can actually answer this ley line. That is definitely an issue with a Dredge. Cabal Therapy. Tyrant Scorn. Going to become an issue. Cephalid Colosseum. And Plague Engineer being taken. Trying to give himself the most amount of time here. I think Tyrant Scorn may have been the play. We'll see how this goes. He's going to need to resolve a piece of removal on that Leyline of the Void, unless the game plan is to try and get Stinkweed Imps and just an assembly of ragtag creatures out in front, which when your mana base is doing damage to you, it's probably going to be difficult to win the race, even against Baleful Strix. Mana Confluence. Damage chipping in there. He can cast a Icarid and take 4 himself. Oof. Like a bad version of Hatred there, paying 4 to do 3. You also got to pay the 4 mana. And Jace the Mind Sculptor with only 1 card in hand. I believe this is going to do it here for Anthony. It's just going to be Fate Sealing from... Oh! I am surprised. I would have thought Fate Sealing from here on out. Perhaps looking for a Force of Will, which he now has. Sending 1. And at this point, it's just stay clear. Of enchantment removal, Street Wraith being cast, paying 5 life. That gets a hard cast Force, as the Swamp Walk actually could have potentially raced Pile. Now a Street Wraith actually won't be able to race it. A Bridge from Below cast just for the lulz, and Pile taking that one down in a very difficult matchup for Grixis. Thanks to Surgical Extraction and then Leyline out of the sideboard. That is all for this one, but don't worry, there is a lot more. You can check out our older videos, and we're always putting out new videos from ELD's Time Vault Games in Bellingham, Massachusetts. If you want to help the channel, of course, you can like, subscribe, share, tap that notification bell so you can know the next time our new videos come out. Thanks for watching.